As I said, it could be on the front cover of the Mount-TOMAH Spectre or whatever it's called over there. Fist fight at Mount-TOMAH or something. It's a bit like that quiz show thing. Do you remember that? Because I always live my life by watching DVDs and stuff and taking memorable moments. From my favourite DVDs. That moment in quiz show. And he says, "You do know you've got my name," sort of thing. And I think, yeah, it's a bit like one of those situations, though. In quiz show they were related, but I assume with the Gregorius book it's totally unrelated. But you never know. Geez, can you imagine if it were true? He was actually related. Because Don Burt said he had a number of affairs. I think he said 3 or 4. So he could be the illegitimate child of the great Don Burke. I don't know. I'm just making it up, fellas. Just sort of satisfying my reasonable curiosity into the current situation sort of thing. Yes. Now let's have a see. Let's go to Spot Cullen. This is we are on Spot Cullen. I'm just going to take my kit off because, as you can see, it's all totally kitted up, and I'm absolutely stinking hot at the moment. Probably not thinking straight as well. So my commiserations for anything I've said up to now. My brain's probably being fried by the heat. As I said, we go. If it went on another 6 weeks here down in southern Abbott Land, it'd be like up in the Northern Territory, where people literally, physically throw themselves off the top of tall buildings. There's probably not many. When I was in WA, it's like we were all bungalows until the America's Cup. Just to get a moment's worth of relief sort of thing. Anyway, this is the one I did. I put in an extra bottle, so there's actually 3 bottles in here. And so that's just going to see. So that's 3 lots of 2.4, so that's 6 plus 1.2, so that's should be 7.2. And I think we were somewhere on the line, if we can find the line. It was opposite the spout, I think. Yeah, somewhere down here. So, yeah, about down there, 6.5 to 7, somewhere along there. If I just sort of even this out. Yeah, actually slightly under 7 there. So it's sort of in the ballpark, unless there's but if you notice this, the coir now almost looks like peat, doesn't? Makes you wonder if this goes all the way back to the 1980s, or when they had that article from Cresco sort of thing. Had they discovered that by adding the universal surfactant to coir, they could actually turn it into more like peat, so they could cut back in those days. I mean, coir must have been probably was more difficult to get hold of in bulk. It's probably dirt cheap back then. Maybe that's what it was all about. I don't know, even do you have to wash the universal surfactant out? I don't know. This is a learning curve, fellas. But yeah, look at that. I can barely, a bit more fibrous, but apart from that, it almost looks like, you can almost say, a bit fibrous, a bit gritty on closer inspection. But apart from that, it almost looks like, makes you wonder. Anyway, so the idea of today is to get ourselves, we're going to run if I can get it to, basically 3 to 1 sort of thing, 2 to 1, 2 parts of this sort of wettened coir with the universal surfactant, and we're just going to sort of mix it around in here sort of thing. Does it come out? Yes, sort of. And we're just going to, have the tendency with this camera, I'm pointing at the thing, but it's really pointing high or something, so because I don't have my screen, so it's a rough as guts attempt, fellas, the first trials usually are. So okay, so the idea is to then get myself, now this, as far as I can see, is just the granules sort of thing. So that's as far as they've sort of swollen up sort of thing. So we're going to do. So basically, it's just like wetted, and they haven't really expanded up. Really, they've just wetted, sort of. You know, they've gone a dark grey sort of colour sort of thing. So very interesting. And so 4 or 5 handfuls of this should make a litre or something. And we get there, and we slowly do a bit more on top, and we should have basically a litre sort of thing. And we're going to mix it in there and see what it looks like. My end up having to do a 50-50, I don't know. So we'll just mix it around here and see what it looks like. Gauge an idea of what it looks like by eye sort of thing. Maybe a case, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I was thinking of 50-50, but maybe not. I think I am right on the ballpark there, fellas. Yes, I think we're on the ballpark. 50-50 would be too much, especially considering we're assuming that the newspaper sales is going to swell up. So I think, yeah, I think that's ideal, fellas. It looks ideal to me anyway. So maybe we should take it over in the sun, just so you can get a look at what it looks like in the sun sort of thing. Yeah, so there we go, fellas. That's what it looks like in the sun. And I think that will be ideal, actually. Yeah, I don't know. If I added another part, I think that would be too much, especially if they're going to swell up. So we'll keep it. We'll just try this as a trial run, and we can always flip it around the other way. We can try one with 2/3 surfacted newspaper cellulose and only 1/3 coir sort of thing. But let's just go back to normal area sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Can't do much more at the moment, and we'll just sort of put that up, flush it through and see what happens, and we'll put some fly traps in it or something and see how we go. As I said, I'm still setting up these other ones. This is going to slowly starting to make a move sort of thing, and I think I need to go in. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded, so I need to go in and have a cup of coffee. But they reckon they've got at least another 5 stories, another 5, so that's 1 + 5 makes 6, I think, of other people. They've got actually 65 people, but they've got at least 5. They said that they've checked out, and they've checked it with their lawyers, and they're quite willing to go ahead. So I think they're going to run one every week up to Christmas or post-Christmas or something. I mean, if they got 65, they could run one every week next year, basically. Yeah, 52 weeks in a year, 65. You could at least run a whole week. Every week you get another person in the entertainment industry in this country. You know, this is southern Abertland, you know. Can you imagine it internationally after Harvey Weinstein, or what was the name of that sort of cartoon sort of thing? Harvey something or other. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough for this. Oh, it was only 41 seconds on the go. I might as well talk it out. Oh yes, got another hit, fellas. Yeah, just got to spot colour them very quickly. In this clip here, another hit. This one here, partial hit on the top, sort of overall, but down the titanium oxide and egg. There you go. 3rd of May. It's mainly up the top there, but yeah, another hit. So it doesn't have to be just zinc oxide is the best. You can get a bit, but it's only up the top. Why only up the top? That's all I want to know. Anyway, that's about it, fellas. Over and out for this one.